Hey gang, this is Ian with Humbucker Soup today to talk about using auto wahs, EQs, distortions, and volume modulation, and looking at filters in general and how we can use these in different applications and use them in our own style of music. Let's get started. So when we're using filtering, we're doing so for utilitarian purposes, which is to make something stand out in a mix or hide in the mix or fit well with the ensemble, or stylistic purposes, which is maybe to draw attention to itself or make the parts sound more interesting. So we're going to look at a couple different pedals that we can use to get both of these accomplished. The first thing is a wah, which is a pretty classic way of filtering frequencies out. And as you open this pedal, you can hear that filter opening and closing. And it's a great way to add a rhythmic part to a funk track, which is just use that Curtis Mayfield method of opening it and closing it on the backbeat. Another way you can do this is with an auto wah, which has set parameters for how much the filter opens and how it opens. This is a great way to do staccato notes because that automatic opening and closing creates this sort of entrancing robotic effect. You can also use a wah as a way of boosting. So if you choose a frequency to stick with and then add some distortion to it like a fuzz, you get that classic 70s punk rock sound. Next, let's look at an EQ pedal. This is a great way to filter volume and frequencies. A classic way to use this is as a boost. So I'm going to set this so that the EQ bands are pretty even all the way across the board and put just a little bit more information in the high mids, which is where guitar kind of lives. And what we're going to hear is just a little bit of top end and volume added to this clean guitar part. We'll goose that hop in just a little bit more with this humbucker, which is a great way to get more of a single coil clarity. Conversely, you can do the opposite with a single coil to get more humbucker warmth and thickness. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of overdrive and demonstrate how it's a great way to boost. This is a great way to feed a distortion to get more overdrive and a little bit more volume. And conversely, I'm going to feed a distortion to it to get a really big lead sound. And you can also use this for more stylistic effects to boost or add frequencies that are maybe not conventional. So I'm going to goose all of the mids and the high ends and cut all the lows to get sort of a telephone radio sound that can be really fun. You can do the opposite and get a really dirty 70s rock sound by goosing all the low end information and kind of cutting that top end off to give it a muffled sort of 70s Les Paul sound. And finally, volume is a great way with a volume pedal or a tremolo. So I've got my volume pedal after all of my gain staging so that I have a master volume effect. So I can get this as dirty or as clean as I want and still have some ability to control the loudness without adjusting the gain stage. So if you've got a pretty loud sound that's maybe unwieldy in the mix, you can just use that volume pedal to keep the same sound without losing your gain staging, but make it quieter. Or conversely, go up in volume. It's also a cool way to feed a delay pedal to create swells. It's a great way to play slide as well because you can really control the length of the tail. And the next thing we'll look at is a tremolo pedal, which is also opening and closing the filter on the volume. And you can use the depth to get a pretty subtle effect to let a part sit better in a mix. So just that little bit of movement allows the part to not be so maybe stale or obvious. And to increase the depth and maybe the rate a little bit gives you a more stylistic effect. So these are just great ways of thinking about how you can use filtering to control the dynamics, the volume, or the stylistic choices that we're making in a mix. So don't be afraid to try these out in unconventional ways, and thanks for watching and thanks for practicing with us. We'll see you next time.